Okay. Today's class topic is Indian architecture, and most importantly, we have discussed regarding the Indian architecture several stuffs like how the structural aspects differs from what we see in the West and what all implications are there. Now, today, what we are going to discuss is all about your South Indian temples and Indian architecture in South Indian temples. So we have a section of temples where we need to understand that what are the different kinds of temples that are there, and how the Indian architecture or the architecture over time is seen over there. How do each of these types differ from each other? But before that, we are going to the South Indian temple style architecture, just because it is having somewhat a bit more relevance or importance in terms of the exam or in terms of our syllabus that we have for our NATA and JEE B.ARCH exam. Okay, so now over here, let's talk about our architecture in South India, or architecture in South Indian temple specifically. So first of all, the temple architecture in South India is known as the Dravidian style of architecture. The feature of the Dravidian style of architecture are mentioned below. We will go through them and understand that in terms of like a structural aspect, what we see over here, a diagrammatic representation, which one is what do they represent, and why it is being used over there. Okay. And most importantly, this particular sketch or diagram which you see, this is the elevation of the South Indian temple from one particular side or so. Okay. Now let's move ahead and check out all the specifications of a South Indian temple. So the temple is enclosed within a compound wall. First of all, we need to understand that for South Indian temples, they are always enclosed inside a compound wall. It's not in an open area or so. Basically, I will talk about, just give you an idea about what is the name of the North Indian side temples. The style of architecture is known as Nagara style. Now, the basic difference is that they are not in a like closed compound wall. Okay, the temple itself forms a building which is like which you cannot enter from outside. There is no separate extra boundary wall which like guards the temple or so, but which is present over here in the South Indian temple, where we see that it is enclosed within a compound. Next thing, a gopuram. Gopuram is the entrance gateway in the center of the front wall. Okay, the front wall where there is an entrance, you will see a elaborated ornamented gate. That is the gopuram. Next comes our vimana. Okay, before going to vimana, let's talk about this mandapa section. Okay, what is this mandapa? So once you walk through the gopuram, through the open space, the very first thing that you enter is a pillared hall. Have you guys seen it anyhow in any South Indian temple that you have visited? Yes. Yeah.
No, I think not every temple have mandapas in South India.
In every temple in South India usually has mandapas. Now, you might have not noticed this in terms of that, okay, when you are trying to compare it with like, okay, it will be a huge hall. It might not be that. It might be a very small place. It might be just like your room, which will be there. And then, but if in the Dravidian style temple, mostly or usually they will have. Now, let's assume, which temple are you talking about? Anything specific that you want to name?
Meenakshi temple in
Meenakshi
Hyderabad.
temple. Okay,
Yeah.
Meenakshi temple, let's check it out. Just give me a second. Let's check it out, the Meenakshi temple also. If I am not wrong, Meenakshi temple has a mandapa. Let's check out that. Let's check out a few images and then we are good to go. Mehak, are you there? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, the Meenakshi temple which you were talking about, let's take a better view. Okay, see, this will be a good option, I guess, to check. Clarity is also good. Okay. See, now the first of all we need to understand the design of this temple, particular which you see. It is enclosed within a compound wall. Now it has gateways on all four sides. Now, can among this, which is the central shrine or which is the main temple? Can you tell me that?
I can't see it properly.
Okay, let's take some other view. Let's check out if we have someone. views. Now, sometimes it's really hard to get a proper view as well. But okay, anyways, I can show you from here itself. I guess that's the best view that we are having in terms of check this out. Fine. See, in terms of like when we look at Meenakshi Temple also, there are several shrines. Have you noticed it? Like Meenakshi Temple is not just about a one central temple. There are several small temples like this, and there is a gateway of entrance, and then you go for it. Have you seen that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's consider this example only. Minashi Shundareshwara temple. This is there. Okay, this is in Bangalore. Okay. No. This is not the actual. But anyways, just once we go for this also and check it out. Wait. Which one was that? Fine. Anyways, if we just check any of the South Indian temples, okay, usually or so. Now I'm not getting here a proper example. Okay, I guess this will also work if we can get a better understanding of. Yeah. See, anyways or the other, once you enter the particular temple hall, there are some of the pillar hall you can see over here around the pool, or not pool actually, around the pond, I will say the sacred pond. This is of another pillared hall that you have seen. And if you have visited Meenakshi temple in Madurai, I guess you should have heard about the 1,000 pillared hall. Yes or no?
Yeah.
That is a representation of the mandapa itself. What you see over there is a depiction of the mandapa and what we are talking about over here. Now see, this is an abbreviation of usually what we see, and what is as a whole, like how they can be compared together, and what all is kind of as a whole in the South Indian temple, what we see as usual. Okay, now definitely let's assume from Orissa, as soon as you're entering towards the South Telangana and all, the temple part over this here, like the temple over this part of India, this place, you really cannot get it exactly the same with the temple which is located in the extreme south, for example, Kanyakumari or so, right? So what I told the very first day when we were discussing regarding structures or timeline of history of architecture, the very simple concept of thing was that all these things, they goes step by step, or things doesn't occur overnight, right? So this transition of temple also, which we see, it's not like that, okay, exactly there is a central line pulled like this, and on this side of the line you see something like this, on that side of the line it will be different. Transitions have taken place with the change in people, the change in thought, and the change in the materials available, and several other factors that we might not know as well, right? So when we look at Meenakshi temple, see, this is Meenakshi temple as Madurai. I just wanted to have a proper top view. That would have been better. But still, can you see now there is a mandapa always there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are some of the architectural aspects that will definitely be there for this kind of for this part of India and the Indian temples also. Okay, now let's move ahead and let's see what's the Vimana. The shape of the main temple tower, it's a stepped pyramid that rises up geometrically, unlike the Nagra Shikara that is curving. Okay, so let's talk about what is the Nagra Shikara in just short, if I have to tell. Nagra Shikara is, have you seen North Indian temples? Let's assume the famous one, there is Rath Yatra was there. Like the first one was there a few days back. The second one is there mostly today itself is the the return. So have you seen the Jagannath temple in Puri anyhow? Picture or something like that at all? No. So okay, let me show you guys. It will be better to have a look and then understand. Just give me a second. So over here, let me share the screen and then. Okay. This is the Jagannath temple in Puri. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like, let's assume, not let's assume, this is what it is, sorry. So can you see that this particular Shikara is the temple part is rising in different curves from larger circle to a smaller circle?
Yes.
This is absolutely missing in the South Indian temple architecture. Now let's go back and check out, like, our PDF for South Indian temple. Over here, what happens is the Vimana, that is like, first it's going very straight. Then you will see in South Indian temples, there is nothing as circular. It's kind of like, square or rectangular shapes placed on top of each other, and in a triangular pyramidal format, it's rising up, right? So that is what is known as the Vimana part. And then the top part of the temple is known as the Shikara. That describes what temple it is. Okay. In Dravidian style, Shikara is the word used for the crowning element at the top of the temple, which is shaped like a stupika or an octagonal cupola. At the entrance of the Garbhagriha, there would be sculptures of fierce the Dravpalas guarding the temple. So, like, you will see that people with some sort of swords or this, like, what do we call it? Javelin kind of thing, they are guarding the temples. I don't know the, like, pure term for that javelin thing. Okay, I'm sorry. So, those kind of things will be there, and they will be guarding the temple statues and all. Now, generally, there is a temple tank within the compound, which you have already seen in the Meenakshi temple. Now, can you compare and relate the things? The temple tank is the pond that they are talking about. Can you compare it? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. So, what is this temple tank used for? Any idea? Yes? What is it used for? Just give an abrupt idea. You have seen something, you have gone, okay, it's a temple. So what can it be used for?
That's some kind to before worshipping God. So they are just
Absolutely not. It is not open for public actually. So if you have been to Tirupati temple, like, which is famous one in Andhra Pradesh itself.
yeah.
So in Tirupati also you will see it, and any other place. Yeah, you can see this in our this thing. No, Tirupati only. I'm not remembering the other one. So in the, like, evening time before your prayer starts and all, and they call it the, like, in temple and all, it's called the Sandha Arti or something like that. Before it starts actually, so the idol is taken for a bath or something like that. So either it's in the morning or evening. I'm not pretty sure. So that is what that particular tank or pond is being used for. That is completely sacred, and no one is allowed to go near it. Okay. Now, subsidiary shrines, let's talk about it as well, could be found whether within the main tower or beside the main tower. So, beside the main tower, as we have seen in Meenakshi temple also, there are very small, there are several small temples which are known as the subsidiary temples. It actually, like, forms the whole compound or so. In many temples, the Garbhagriha is located in the smallest tower. It is also the oldest. With the passage of time and the rise of the population of the temple town, additional boundary walls were added. The newest structure would mostly have the tallest gopuram. Example in the Srigantha temple in Srigram. So you have some few examples. You can search for the names as well and check out how do they relate to this, whatever is being told over here. They are having 7 concentric rectangular enclosure walls, each having gopurams. The tower at the center has the Garbhagriha. Famous temple towns of Tamil Nadu are these places. Tanjore, Tanjavur, it's actually Tanjore, then Kanchipuram, Madurai, Kubakom. Then your 8th century to 12th centuries temples were not confined of being religious centers, but became administrative centers as well, with the large stretches of land. Okay, now why it? Because see, there is a dark side of the temples as well to a certain zone. Like you will see the same kind of influence in Christian churches actually. Anyhow, have you studied about, like, that during the forgetting about the time, the Roman Empire and all itself, about the Orthodox churches, have you studied in depth anyhow? Yes, no, Mac, Arya.
So which one, like the churches in the
About
gate?
the Roman period or so, the Orthodox churches and their concept.
Yeah, Roman architecture.
Yeah, please, Arya, carry on.
The towers, they have like similar kind of thing.
Towers. Okay. No, see, I am talking about a very simple concept. Why they are talking about this, that during the 8th and the 12th century, temples became an administrative center as well. So I wanted to compare it with, I will just talk about this in very short. Why, like, it is being compared as an administrative center. We have seen the same happening in Christian churches also. So what happened was, at a certain point of time, kings and all, they were kind of puppets. Okay, below this, like, religious hubs, where in Christian churches it was the Pope, and over here in the Indian temples it was like, the pundits and all. They used to actually rule, and whatever they used to tell or whatever they used to pass, that actually became a kind of law, and you cannot, like, bypass, or you cannot just talk against it. So this is how it became an administrative center that I want to talk about. I don't know if you have read about it. You can go and check it out. There was a certificate given in exchange for some money. I will just check out the name. Give me a minute. Just hold on a second. So this actually was given to, just a minute. Indulgence certificate. I remembered it now. So have you heard about the word indulgence certificate anyhow? Arya Mahek?
No.
Okay. So this is how it looked. Now see, this became an administrative hub while we are talking about it, and what did it actually use to do and all. So this was actually the center for power. There was no kings and all, which whosoever was there, they were just a puppet, and this particular religious center was running the whole city, or not city, actually the whole country, or at that point of time the whole empire. Okay, so indulgence certificate also looks something like this, what you are all seeing over here. And these certificates, how they were given? They were given in exchange of a good amount of money. At that point of time, a huge amount of money. And this certificate were just given. So, for example, let's assume you have the power of your money, and, like, you have that, you have murdered someone, and you, like, don't want to go to jail, or you don't want to be punished. So you can be forgiven by the church. Doesn't matter whom you have murdered or whosoever the family is. Your sin could, like, could have been forgiven by the church by once you take this indulgence certificate, or once you buy it from the church and just go over there and speak all about your sins in front of the Pope separately. There will be no other person. So these were some of the, like, things which are completely wrong, and they were done at that point of time. So you can understand just from this part that how the administrative power went into the hands of the churches. Same thing happened over here during the 8th and the 12th century, as mentioned over here in the PDF, in terms of the Indian temples. Okay. Now, over here in Dravidian architecture, we have a few subdivisions. One is the Kuta or the calypso square shaped. Another one is the rectangular shape, the Shala or the Ayatastra, and the Gaja Parista, or the Vityata, or the elephant backed elliptical. Okay, and two more, circular and octagonal. So over here, we don't, these are just examples given for you. Okay, Pallavan architecture, and apart from that, several other things, the Shiva temple and all. Just go through this, read it out back at your home. Nothing much to understand from here. What you need to understand, that how, like, for example, this one, architecture in Deccan. So this is what we need to know. Before that, these examples also what you have over here, these are actually just for you to know about it, nothing more than that. Okay, in the architecture in Deccan, we see that some of the temples are either completely Nagra or Dravida. Not at all temples in Deccan style are, not at all temples in the Deccan are in Vesara style. Okay, so in Deccan architecture, what we see, this is kind of the transitional phase, the between part I'm talking about. There is a style known as the Vesara style. So over here, some temples we see as completely Nagra, or some as completely Dravida, or a mix of them. Okay. Okay, this is the Kailasnath temple in Ellora, completely in Dravidiya style. Main deity is Lord Shiva, and there is also a Nandi shrine. Vimana rises 30 meters. The temple also curved out of a portion of a hill. The temple is grand and imposing, built during the Rukshakuta phase at Ellora. Okay. So some of the other examples, make sure what you need to know from here. Now, once we have known about the Dravidian style, next class we will quickly go through the Nagra style. These are only the two important ones that you really need to know. Over here, you must know all these examples which you are having, these pictures which you see. Which temple is it? Where is it located? That's all. Like, so if you are given a picture like this and asked to identify or something in relevance with that composition, then you should be able to understand. And over here, this is a good example of your Nagra or the North Indian style temple architecture. Yeah, this we will discuss in detail a bit. Okay, so the Nagra is the style of the temple architecture. This is really important, this part again. So we have studied the South Indian style, and this is the Nagra style architecture. Do we have time today? Yes. So okay, so let's complete Nagra style today itself. So the Nagra or the North Indian temple style architecture is over here. Nagra is the style of temple architecture which became popular in the northern India. Okay. Now popular in terms of this is how the architecture over there has developed. There is no such that okay people were given option. Hey, either choose Dravidian or Nagra, and people voted and chose for it. Nothing like that was there. This is how the constructional materials, the people skills, and everything, concept, thought, and all came up with this kind of style. Okay. Am I audible to you guys? Are you guys even there?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, fine. So let's talk about the Nagra style. Nagra is this temple style architecture which became popular in the northern India. It is common here to build an entire temple on a stone platform with steps leading up to it. Now understand these particular specifications. That is where from the question comes. Unlike in South India, it doesn't usually have elaborate boundary walls or gateways. Earliest temples only had one Shikara tower, but in the later periods, multiple Shikaras came up. Okay. The Garbhagriha is always located directly under the tallest tower. So this is the Kalasha, this is the, just go through there is no point in just talking about that, okay, which part is what. Just go through the terms, see where is what located and how they are located. So usually in North Indian temples, you will see that you enter the particular temple through the gate and then you will see this kind of staircase to go to an elevated position to reach God. That is how they, the concept was there and they have brought it up. Okay. Apart from that, it is a simple and most common type of shikara that we usually see, this kind of thing. It has a square base and the walls, the wall curve or slopes inwards to a point on the top. Latina type are mainly used for housing the Garbhagriha. Okay. So there are different kinds of shikara that has been described. Just the names and how it looks. That's all about it. Nothing in detail you need to know. Not at all required. Okay. Apart from this, let's go below. Okay. Over here, we need to know a bit about that the Indus Valley sculpture. Okay. The art of sculpture began in India during the Indus Valley civilization, which encompassed parts of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the northwest India, as far south as Rajkot. Excavations as the Indus Valley sites at Mohenjo-daro and Harappa in modern-day Pakistan have uncovered a large quantity of terracotta sculpture and Sittite seals featuring images of female dancers, animals, foliage, and deities. But Indus Valley sculpture is most famous for its figurative broken bronze known as the dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro. This is one of the famous artifacts that have been discovered while the excavation. Again, if we go below, now over here, the Ajanta caves, Hindu sculpture, Gupta Empire and all. Now see, these are all the information that you need to know about these particular sculpture or structures, which are quite famous. Understand this very particular thing. While we are discussing about any of these topics, there is nothing as in such that I will be talking about or I will give you a logic to understand this. These are all about, you go and read it once. Never possible for anyone to remember, not even me. So just go through it. See that, okay, what is Ellora caves and all, because these are some of the important structures or important places from where questions might come. So very few details about that structure, what you need to know. For some of them, when you see a particular sketch has been given or a pictorial representation has been given, make sure you just try to remember that whenever, let's assume talk about Ellora Caves, the picture should be visible in your mind. How when I talk about Taj Mahal, you see the Taj Mahal in front of your face, right? It comes at the back of your head that this is how it looks. Same way it should happen for these structures. That's all about it. Nothing much to discuss about these particular structures or so. Okay, these things not required, this woodworks also. Just a minute, let's go below and check out. Okay. Fine, this PDF will be like, refreshed and given by today itself, wherein we will remove these parts, this artifacts, craft work and all. This is actually not really required for you. Okay, so we will remove this part and we will keep the very gist part of your temple architecture in the Dravidian Nagara style. And apart from that, there will be definitely like, the important structures, their names, and some few details about it. Make sure you go through them. Any doubts you have, anything you want to ask, or some structure that you might have seen and you want to talk about it, please go ahead. And please turn on your video so that it can be a better interaction.
Yeah, no doubts. I don't have any doubts.
No doubts, nothing. Fine, just a minute. So guys, watching this class in form of a recording, make sure this is that, this is it for the class. And you guys check it out. If you have any doubts, go through the particular study material in your respective batches or in your study material section, wherever you are added in. Check it out. And if you have any doubts, you can always connect us back. That's all for this particular class. Make sure the most important part for everyone in this particular Dravidian or Indian temple architecture, or Dravidian or Nagara or Indian temple architecture, whatever you may call it. So what happens over here, or from where the question comes, is some few specifications of the Dravidian style architecture, Nagara style, something in between the transitional phase. What's its name? The Vaisra style. Some important structural aspects. So in terms when you see a structure, and for example, the question comes in like your plan-based question comes in your NATA exam. So you are given the plan of a particular temple, and then arrow is given and you are supposed to identify that particular spot. So until and unless you see that structure in a plan mode, or the elevation of the structure and the name of that particular location, you will not be able to mark it out. So you just go through these things, and apart from that, name of a few temples, structures, caves, and all these things which are quite famous. Basic details about them just for you to know. That's all about it, and that's all what you need for this part of your syllabus. And that's all, guys. Thanks a lot. We are ending the class over here. Well, if you have any doubts, you can always connect us back, and make sure go through in detail and see the PDF side by side.